What exactly does regenerative farming mean? Some say it's just a buzzword, but for us it has a real meaning and something we are really striving for on our farm. Regenerative agriculture to us is about bettering the land and building up the soil to create a healthier ecosystem. So it's more than just sustainable, it's really bettering the farm for the next generation. We are doing things a bit differently than the way it has always been done. We're trying new things, and sometimes those new things don't work out perfectly, but we're learning year to year. This year, one of the new things that we are doing is incorporating the use of cover crops. Last May, we planted this cover crop blend of sorghum sudan grass, cowpeas, and sunflowers. We knew this would be the perfect blend for our herd to graze in the late summer. Our plan was to give all of our main pastures a rest during August and September. This is the time that it's best for our cool season grasses here in Missouri to catch a late summer rest and regrow for fall grazing. Unfortunately, it didn't all work out as planned, but we are making the most of it now and putting a plan in place for next season. Biggest wrench in those plans is that the rain shut off late summer here, so our pastures did not get much regrowth. Therefore, we won't have a lot of grazing through the fall and winter months like we had hoped. But that is just farming. You're working with Mother Nature, and we have to do the best that we can with what we are given. The other hiccup in our plan is that we thought this would be a great place for our cows that are having babies during the fall time to have their babies out here. But we planted this mix too early, and now that the cows are having their calves, it's like a jungle out here, and we would never be able to find a mama cow in distress or a new baby that may need our help. So we decided to separate those cows off of the herd so that we could watch them closely in another pasture. That was a tough decision to make because to manage your pastures really well, it is best to only have one group of cows. That way you can keep them moving around the farm without overgrazing any one section. But we decided to just basically sacrifice one small field of the farm so that we could keep a better eye on the cows that are having babies. It just seemed less risky to us versus any of them having trouble way out here and the risk that we would not be able to find them in time. So while we're feeding hay to half of our herd, the other half of the herd gets to enjoy this cover crop, and soon those cows will be done having calves and we'll get that whole herd back together again. We are using a method called strip grazing out here. That is where you move a section of fence every couple of days so that you open up a new section of the cover crop to them. This is an easy way to manage your forages when you don't have a lot of permanent infrastructure in place. So, for example, on this section of the farm, we don't have water or fencing to separate pastures. We are working with one watering point and just perimeter fencing. We're using temporary fence to break up this big field into smaller sections, and then they're able to walk back to their water from every section that they're in. It is definitely in our long-term plan to get better infrastructure on this part of the farm, but that will be a big investment that we'll have to chip away at over time. As we move the cows out of one section, we are planting a new round of cover crops for them to graze next spring. The main reason we are really focusing on cover crops on this section of the farm is because we took soil samples when we decided to turn this portion of the farm into pasture ground, and the soil samples revealed that the ground is really lacking out here. We figure we can use cover crops as a way to build up the soil more naturally and also have something nutritious for our cattle to eat. Cover crops really improve soil health and fertility, which is something we are really focusing on at our farm. We hope to get a good stand of cover crops that we're planting this fall so that we can graze our cows out there in the early spring before the rest of our pastures are ready for summer grazing. The goal is to keep our overhead costs down by limiting the amount of hay that we need to feed. But as I mentioned earlier, not everything goes as planned, so we have to work with what we have, and this just makes the most sense for us to do right now. I look forward to getting all the cows back together again and managing our pastures through this fall and winter the best that we can. This is the time of year when we have so much going on at the farm that I don't focus a whole lot on cooking. What I mean by that is I keep my meals very simple and I do the same things pretty much every week. I have a few go-to easy recipes that I just keep on rotation. So most of those recipes are something like these stuffed peppers where I can prep them during a nap time or during the day when I have a minute, and then I can just throw it in the oven later on and be totally hands off from there. I still think it's important to make healthy meals, but that can be very simple when you have the right ingredients on hand. I like to explore new recipes and try new things later in the fall and through the winter months when I spend more time inside. But for now, I'm just sticking with what I know and keeping it easy. One thing I love about having a garden and sourcing my food locally at the farmer's market is that you naturally cook in-season meals. I saw these peppers from another farmer and I thought they looked perfect to make some stuffed peppers filled with ground beef and other fresh vegetables from our garden. On busy weeks like this one, having easy go-to recipes is so important so that I can still cook from scratch but keep it very simple. During the summer months, we raise meat chickens on pasture, and as one batch leaves the chicken tractors, we put another batch out, and we try to just do them back to back all summer long so that we have enough inventory to offer to our customers. And this week, we have a group of chickens that were ready to go to processing, which means my husband takes a day off work to take them to a processor that's local-ish to our area. And it is always a big job the night before catching all the chickens and loading them up to go. We like to load them the evening before because it does seem like the chickens are much more calmer in the evening because they roost at night, so they are very relaxed in their crates this way. And we need to have them all loaded up because we leave super early in the morning, long before daylight, to take them. Our customers really appreciate that these chickens got to live outside in the fresh air, and because they're living in more of a free-range type setting, they provide more nutrient-dense meat as well. This week, our garden is overflowing with what is probably the last bit of okra that we will be able to harvest, and most of our tomatoes have finally ripened enough to pick. So I need to get some okra and tomatoes preserved to put away for the winter months. We also planted a few cool season crops, and the lettuce is finally ready to cut, so we'll be able to enjoy some fresh salad from the garden as well. The garden for me doesn't feel like a chore, but it feels like a place that I can just come out to and enjoy without having an agenda to get a whole lot done. We plant a lot of flowers in our garden every year for the pollinators, and this year we actually had another local farmer approach us about raising bees on our farm. That was of course something that we were all about because of how beneficial pollinators are. We always talked about getting bees, but realistically didn't have the time, so this actually works out great, and they've already given us a couple jars of honey. As you can tell, this has been a very busy week, but I wanted to make sure to get time in the kitchen to preserve some of this okra and these tomatoes, because I'm sure this will be the last of those things for the season. Our favorite way to eat okra in the summertime is to chop it up and bread it to fry. We fry everything in either our pork lard or beef tallow, so it just feels like a healthier way to enjoy fried food, especially using okra from our own garden. To preserve the okra, I chop it up and bread it with an egg batter and freshly milled flour, and then I freeze it on parchment paper. Once the okra is frozen, I vacuum pack it into dinner-sized portions, that way we can get it out in an evening to fry. We found that getting the okra straight out of the freezer and putting it into the fryer works the best. We have been preserving okra like this for the past several years now. It's a bit hands-on with all the chopping and breading, but it makes a very easy side for wintertime meals. Plus, we love that fresh taste of summertime during the winter months. So far, I have not found the time to can any of our tomatoes. I did a lot of canning last year and really learned how to do it, and I loved having canned pasta sauce and diced tomatoes in my pantry. It did take a lot of work up front to can them all, and I just haven't gotten around to it this year. But I'm still dicing up all the tomatoes and at least freezing them. I'll just have to make sure that I plan ahead enough on my meals to actually use them all. I did also freeze a lot of tomatoes whole, and I have a few more to freeze whole as well. So I might end up getting them back out and doing a canning day when I have a bit more time. But I also had someone say that you can just run the whole tomatoes under warm water and the peel easily falls off, and then you can chop it up for like chili and stuff. So I honestly might not even do that. I might just leave them whole and then use them also this winter. I hope you enjoyed following along for a busy week on our farm farm this fall, and I look forward to sharing more.